Hello, everybody. This is Susan Heaton-Wright from Superstar Communicator. The company empowers everybody to make an impact in all business conversations, everything from meetings through to public speaking, to having difficult conversations, to customer service and customer care. Hence the fact we have the most incredible woman here on the other end of the internet, Colette Cooper. Now, she is the Client Services Director at Cariad Marketing, an award-winning Hertfordshire digital marketing agency with a passion for helping SMEs compete with the online giants. Colette is most often the first person people see for help with their marketing. With over 20 years of sales and marketing experience, Colette is a hybrid professional who is good at sales, marketing, and leadership. And I would say she's also a superstar communicator. So, welcome, Colette.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And I would also say, I was going to mention this beforehand, that Cariad is not only a multi-award winning company. In 2023, they were named in the top 50 SME businesses in the United Kingdom. That is something incredible.
We were over the moon. And when we had the notification, we couldn't obviously communicate that across to
No.
anyone until the official news went out. And part of us were, wouldn't it be good to get 99? And we could do a big marketing campaign about 99 balloons and all that sort of thing. And then the more we thought about it, the more we thought, actually, no, let's try and get as good as we can do, which we did. We were number 44 and absolutely incredible. We were over the moon. So proud of the team.
Absolutely. But you should be proud of yourself as well, because as you said in your biog, you're often the first person that people deal with. And so there must be something that you are doing right, both for them to feel that they can talk to you about digital solutions, but
Yeah.
also maintaining a, a business relationship with them. So I've got some
Yeah.
questions related to that because it's all down to communication. Ding dong. So what made you come into this area of business?
Um, like most people my age group, it's very much accidental. We don't kind of, come out of our career conversations with teachers and go, yeah, I'd love to go into sales and marketing. But I was always advised by my parents and peers and my teachers, if you get an office job, you'll have a job for life. Now that's quite archaic advice, probably one that I wouldn't give now. But actually, what it gave me is the ability to actually go in and do lots of temping jobs to get experience up. I worked somewhere different every single week. Really cut my teeth on mainly customer services, worked in some horrible places, did some awful jobs, but actually that built up the resilience for me to enable what I do today and advise people of how they can actually cope with difficult conversations and
Yes,
also delight people, which is something that Cariad is very good at doing, but
definitely.
also navigating people in a direction where they're happy to talk openly about their business and about their goals and objectives. So yeah, definitely that the horrible jobs, like most people have experienced, have shaped the way that you will communicate to other people.
Oh, brilliant. And it's quite clear that you naturally are a good communicator, or is this something that you have acquired?
Um, I've acquired it. I don't think you can. I think if you're, unless you're Gary V, and you're born with a good communicating gift, I think it is something that's learned. Like most people, I've made some massive mistakes. I've said some things that I could never take back. I've also had situations whereby I've said the wrong thing, or my mouth has run away with me. So I have had to learn, and quite recently as well, to actually read a room. A lot
Yes.
of communication is down to personalities. It's also looking at adapting. So I'll often say that I'm a communication chameleon. So I can walk into a room of people and I'm quite skilled at reading a room in terms of how I communicate with them. So we do profiling in terms of our ideal client base and the customers
Yes.
that we have. And if someone's very blue, for example, they're very data driven, analytical. So I know that I have to ramp up my technical skills.
Yes.
If they're kind of all jazz hands and all very salesy, I know that I need to be that back, and talk very
Yes.
much in layman's terms. So, and we work with so many different clients that we have to have the ability, me and my team, to talk to people at different levels. And that's the important thing in business, is the different levels of communication. So you're able to talk to a marketing assistant or a sales assistant who is quite overwhelmed by, the industry or their world. But you also need to talk to a highly stressed CEO who is looking to increase their revenue, and they're looking to you to do it and talk to them about it.
Do you know, you've hit the nail on the head there. For those people who don't understand about reading the room, can you just explain that, just in case anybody isn't aware of that term?
Yeah, so it's about picking up social cues with people. So, for example, if I was to walk into and I quite have often done this, walk into a room full of people who there's lots of men. I'm not singling out, anything in particular. Arms folded, sitting back, not really engaging or asking questions. You know that you have to actually find something that will engage them. So back in the day, quite often what I used to do before SatNav, I used to be a rep on the road. So I would ring them beforehand, 10 minutes before, and say, I'd love for you to direct me in. I'm just a little bit lost. I'm just around the corner. Could you just, guide me in? They were like, oh, hello, I'm glad you got here okay. And it was a real conversation opener. Now, you can't do that anymore because you'll look stupid, because they'll think, why haven't you got a sat nav? Or, why don't you plan your route? But that is still the same today as it was back then. It always has to be a common denominator. And what I do is make sure that I can research quite often in the car before I go into the building, because last minute is sometimes okay, and just pick out, a LinkedIn thing. Maybe they're into fitness,
Yes.
maybe they're into
Yeah.
something personal to draw something out to them. And they're quite often talking about the office. The last meeting I had with somebody, they had an amazing board that you could write on. And I complimented on them. When did you get it installed? Why have you got it? And it was a conversation opener that wasn't around the subject that I was there to present on. So it's things like that.
I love the idea of that. I've got it here actually. A game that I play with people, and I don't know if people can see it, probably not. It's a small talk bingo.
Yeah.
And often, if I'm doing a workshop or a talk, I will get them to do that. And they will ask questions like, how long have you worked here? Or have you seen any good films or TV? Totally unrelated, but it's breaking the ice, and you are
Absolutely.
building that business relationship. You're moving towards things that you've got in common, and that trust element.
But even on, tips on how to read a room online, because we have to navigate both methods
Yes,
of
of course.
communication. I've got my background blurred out. Before we came on this call, I warned you that I may have a teenager or two milling around in the back, and that's fine. But I had a video call yesterday, and I could see some birthday balloons in the background. The minute I came on, even though it was blurred, I could just see the balloons, and it turned out he just had a baby. And that was a really lovely conversation opener, because then we shared our commonality about being a parent. And it really
Yes.
softened the beginning of the call. And if we hadn't had that conversation, or if I hadn't recognised that in the background, it would have gone straight into business talk. Maybe he wouldn't have been relaxed enough to talk about certain stuff. And then I kept bringing the conversation back. Oh, you'll find this out soon enough. And I think something had happened behind me, and it related back to it. So keeping it personal, people have to remember that yes, you're in a business environment, but actually we're all humans, and we all like small talk, some more than others,
Yes,
but
of course.
generally small talk is a really important part of business.
Now, you talked about speaking to different levels. The CEO who might be stressed might have a time limit. Would that work in the same way for somebody who is very time poor?
Yes. So sometimes again, reading the room or reading the situation,
Yes.
some people will send out an agenda before a meeting, and if they've sent out an agenda, okay, right, I need to be to the point, I need to do my research, I need to make sure we're on this agenda and on point. Other times they may say, well, actually, I've only got 30 minutes to meet with you, so that you need to be really focused on what you're talking about. And if you're talking to a CEO, it needs to be, what are your KPIs, what are your
Yeah.
marketing objectives, how do you make your money? How can we help you make more money? You know,
Yes.
how many staff do you have to help you with the project? Whereas if it's somebody on a lower level who has got particularly more time, you can relax a little bit more, make that small talk, and maybe talk around other areas of the business, you know, recruitment perhaps, or any team cohesion they need help with, or social media activity they need to be on, because those kind of things will all bring it all in. Whereas the higher the level, the more important you are to talk about the more important things about running a business rather than marketing, but more importantly how marketing can help that business grow.
Yes. Yeah, I can see that. But why is business development? We've talked about when you meet people for the first time, or perhaps it's in the early stages of you prospecting. Why is business development and client services so important?
It's important for a number of reasons. For a growing business, you need to ensure that they both feed into one another. Now,
Yes.
one of the tester questions that we ask our team on a regular, well, not so much on a regular basis, but every now and again we throw it in, and we ask them who in the company is responsible for growing the business. And sometimes we'll get, well, Colette, you know, or Justine, the people who talk to clients on a daily basis, or the client services team because they're there to do upsells. It's not. That is the incorrect answer. The people responsible for growing the business are every single person in that
Yes.
company, because they all have a touch point with the client at some stage, whether that be an email, an interaction, a phone call, a meeting. So where business development and customer services can feed into it, if you have a particularly bad experience with customer services, which happens, you know, with all the best will in the world, you can be the best person in communicating and customer services. But if the personalities don't match, or if you read the room wrong, or you just it just goes a bit wrong from the off, it can be very damaging, because if you hit the wrong company, they will talk, and then your brand
Yeah.
reputation kind of nosedives. And then that affects new business, because people are and especially in marketing, because depending on what level of business you do, it's not just about talking to people on the golf course anymore and saying, no, don't touch that company, they're awful. You've got Google reviews, you've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, you've got Instagram, you've got calling people out online on a public platform. You've got all those kind of things that you have to contend with. So if customer services isn't good and it's not addressed, and any negativity isn't addressed straight away, it can massively impact your new business development, because it means that your reputation is damaged, and that is so hard to get back up again. So I would go so far as to say that customer services is the best thing you can do for your business, because it will just take care of everything else.
And with the people in your team, you've obviously got an absolutely incredible team. Are you training them? Are you providing support and role models so that they can develop this side of their skill set?
Yeah, so we operate a hybrid working behind what we do. For one, we can't physically fit everybody back in the office, which is great because we've grown. For two, not everyone wants to. Some people are just happy to be at home. But three, you know, we want to encourage people to enjoy what they do. And if they're better working from home, that's great. If they want to be in person, that's great as well. However, with certain roles in the company that are more client facing, we will require people to come in, not so much about, you know, just coming in to see what they're doing, but actually hear about conversations that are going
Yeah.
on. So, for
Yeah.
example, I couldn't do what we're doing today in the office, because, you know, we're in a
No.
very creative environment. There's conversations going on. There's other meetings going on. I'd have to hide myself away in a meeting room and hope no one came in. However, if I was to have a day full of meetings, both online and in person, if I have my team of client services account managers there, they can hear me on the phone. They can hear me
Yes.
having a difficult conversation. They'll be like, oh, that hasn't come up before. They can ask me questions. Sometimes so we have the junior members of the team. I'll quite often invite them into meetings, not because I want them to give any input, although if they do, that's fantastic, but just to sit there and take notes, and to
Yes.
sit there and just observe and take note on what kind of conversations happen. So they'll then hear the small talk, they'll hear the business speak, they'll also hear it turn quite quickly from being really friendly to, oh, well, actually, you haven't done this, and oh, how to handle it. And they're
Yeah.
kind of things you can't learn on an online training thing. You can't learn that thing. And what we found during lockdown, it was very difficult to train people in effective communication
Yes.
online. because unless they were invited to a meeting, they weren't privy to just eavesdropping on a conversation. And there's such value in that in an office environment.
Isn't it interesting? Because there are so many people who are reluctant to go back into the office. And yet, this is one of the crucial things for professional development. What we pick up from our colleagues and perhaps those who are slightly more experienced.
Yeah, absolutely. And also people who are not experienced. And we've all been there. We've all had to make that call in front of a manager
Oh,
or a team of people, and you're bracing yourself. You're taking a deep breath. What if I get it wrong? What if I stumble my words? And as much as I don't want people to feel like that, it's okay, because sometimes they just have to do it and they have to kind of
yeah,
grit their teeth and move on with it. And it isn't that I'm going to jump on them and say that was wrong, that was awful, or call them out in front of people. I'll smile, well done, that was a really good call, that sounded like it was a good one. But perhaps on a one-to-one or a team meeting later on, I'll refer to it and say, how do you think that went? And
yeah,
I'll coach them through it.
yes,
And 9 times out of 10, they know if it's gone badly. We all
yeah,
do,
yeah, yeah,
don't we? We all know if we've messed up on a conversation. So no one ever needs telling. We just need to have them coached into, okay, well, maybe this time you can do it better in this way, and move on from there. So we're very lucky that we at Cariad we recruit 100% on our client services side for personality, because that is so
Oh, right,
important in
okay,
business.
yes,
And then obviously experience is a benefit depending on what level we're recruiting for. But anything else can be trained. If
yeah,
you're bringing in somebody who is client facing and they're not comfortable with talking to people on a daily basis, then they need to question which kind of career path they want to take. Yes, you can train them how to communicate effectively, of course you can do, but if communication isn't their superpower, then it's not going to make anybody happy. So we
no,
do need to be careful, and we can normally pick that up quite quickly. But actually, it normally sorts itself out when you apply for a role in client services or customer services. You kind of know you need to talk to people. So that alone kicks people away.
yeah. Now, we talked about a little bit really about going to a prospect or a new client. How do you maintain a business relationship? Because certainly in the last couple of years, there are a couple of suppliers I've had, won't mention any names, that I have dropped because I felt that it all went quiet and it was difficult to contact them and
Yeah,
I didn't
there's,
feel
there's, there's
loved.
no, there's two routes to that. So we work with hundreds of different clients in all different industries, and again, if you bring into personalities into that, they all adapt in the same in different ways. So what I often find, and this has been down to experience, you have to meet people where they are. So initially, you have to come up with a suggestion. So for example, if you were to come on as a client, I'd say to you, right, your account manager would like to meet with you for half an hour once a week. We'd like to come in and see you once a month and go through everything. And we'd like you to meet the team behind your account every 6 to 8 weeks so we can keep things ticking along. And you might be, yeah, Colette, that's brilliant. I love that. But actually, you've said that on in theory, but in practice, you're busy. You've got other things to do. The times aren't convenient, and that wavers off. And as an account manager and as someone who needs to be on top of customer services, again, it's about reading that room. And quite often, I'll say if a client goes quiet, I worry. Yes, we can roll our eyes sometimes with people constantly contacting us. Yes, it's time restrictive if we've got a lot of work to do on a certain amount of clients. But if they're talking to us and they're engaged, they're interested, and that's important. And the same goes for the other side of it. We need to be interested in their business.
Yeah,
It's not just about being reactive to, Colette, can you help me with this? It's about
yeah.
picking up the phone and going, oh, you know what, Susan, I saw this really good article in Jones Road magazine
Oh,
about the effect communication can have on the makeup you wear can have on the way you communicate. They were talking about how you're scared to smile if you haven't got lipstick on because it makes your teeth look more yellow. Can you comment? What do you reckon? Could there be a blog post in that? And you go, oh, that's a good idea, I can write a blog post
I
on that.
love
And I
that.
go into a blogger outreach and actually push that piece of content onto another publication. And by me doing that and actually just recognizing the fact that that is an opportunity for you, you're like, oh, Colette's good, isn't she? And that's
I
the kind of
feel
feeling.
loved.
And you do feel loved. Now,
Yes,
when the relationship starts to turn into a reactive relationship, so we encourage our team to be proactive, always proactive. If it's just responding to emails and just ticking boxes and coordinating things, you're not an account manager, you're an account coordinator. An account
yes,
manager is not managing the account, it's actually managing the relationships and the personalities. And quite often, the clients we work with, we are an extension of their marketing team, or we are
yes.
their marketing
Yeah,
team.
yeah, you
We are,
are.
and I'll often say to people, treat us as the marketing department next door. Pop your head in
Yes,
every now and again. Can you help us with this? We've got this challenge. Can you help? And the other beauty of it, we've got hundreds of clients who cross over all different industries. If we can't help you, well, we pretty much know someone who can do. So it's about recognizing the opportunities within the client base that we have, but also spotting opportunities for the clients that we work with. And back to your point, to make them a response on an email, pick up the phone, respond on social media, like their stuff, share it, comment it, really be on their side, give them a social high five on stuff, and know their kids' names, things like that, because that's old fashioned customer services that people often forget.
I'm so pleased that you've highlighted that. Now, I've just a specific question because occasionally, well, last year I took out to market. It wasn't something within your sphere, otherwise I would have obviously contacted you. But there
Obviously.
was some specific, yeah, um, there was a specific piece of work that I had a pot of money for, and it was really, really interesting because I needed 3 quotes. And the first one picked up the phone straight away, and we had a long conversation. They wrote a proposal for me. We had a chat about it. The second one, I met with them. They did a proposal which didn't have anything that we'd discussed. It was sort of cut and paste job. Didn't hear from them again, but they put me on their newsletter list.
Mm,
And then the third one, didn't hear a thing.
mm,
Yeah, you know where I'm going on this. Guess what?
absolutely.
The first one, I selected them. It was a no-brainer. I felt I was loved, that valued, that I would be spending money with them. What are your comments about that?
And again, it's back to that meeting people where they are. So I'll
Yeah.
often say, if we have an inquiry coming through, if it comes through on the phone and I'm not available, or a colleague of mine isn't available, we don't email them and say, I'm sorry, I've missed your call, how can I help? We ring them, because they rang
Yes.
us. At
Yeah.
that time they were looking for help, and you can bet your bottom dollar that they put the phone down because we haven't answered, and they're ringing through to somebody else. The other tactic is, if they email, we will email back.
Yes.
And I don't want to get into a sales information exchange on email. The email back
No.
to them is, when are you free? Not when. Here's a link to my diary and you book in. Although sometimes I will do that depending on who they are. I'll be like, when are you free? So morning or this afternoon, as early as possible, because they're thinking about it at that time. Um, it won't happen with us, but there's a lot of business to consumer people. If they walk through the door, make sure someone's available. Don't have the phone ringing out into an answering machine. Don't have chat boxes unattended, or if you do, certainly have like an out of office thing on there. But you need to make sure that you're meeting people where they are. The other tactic is, and this is probably my biggest top secret that I will share,
Go on, go
when
on.
when people call in with a problem, it's normally 9 times out of 10 because they don't know how what to do. They know they need to do marketing, but they're not sure how, when, where they start. They've got a bit of a budget allocation. They're on a bit of a fact finding mission. They're not quite sure what to do. So they're not after there and then a strategy. And sometimes I'm in danger of kind of getting really excited, especially if I love what they do or love the brand, and I'm giving them all sorts of ideas. But it's about just being listened to and telling their story. So we get a lot of business owners and founders calling up to work with us, and I'll listen. I'll ask some questions. It won't be, so what are your plans? What are your budget? Although those are questions that are important.
Yes.
Tell me about your business. How did you
Yeah.
start? What did you do? How have you grown? Who is your target market? Which is an important question, but what makes you really happy about what you do about your business? What's your biggest pain point in marketing? Are your sales team engaged? Are you growing as quickly as what you'd like to? And I extract so much information out of them, so much that when they put the phone down to me, they don't want to call another person because they'll have a list of marketing companies to call. They'll
Yes, of
go onto
course.
Google and they'll Google digital marketing companies Hertfordshire. We'll come up top because we do what we do. But I don't want them to put the phone down and go, oh God, they were useless. I want them to put the phone down and go, oh, right, let me ring this other 2 people because I need to get 3 quotes. But by the time they've got to them, because, and it may be that that company may have not, may be asking the same questions as us, but they're too exhausted. They've told me everything.
Yeah.
You know, I know everything. So back to your point about the proposal, you know, if I'm going to be writing a proposal, I'm writing the bits and pieces we put on there. You know, the
Yes.
bracket comments, you know, as we've discussed, because this is this, we will do this. And it will show they're being listened to. So we
Yes.
have processes, we have CRMs, we have productivity tools, we have all of that. But we also have humans, and they need to be used well within those systems to actually bring people on board and work with them to humanize communication, because we're in danger of AI, and everyone's talking about ChatGPT.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. That's another conversation. We need to come on
Yeah,
and discuss that.
we do, and the danger is that we're just dehumanizing everything, and
Yes.
it's not going to work. It's not.
That's so interesting. Now, I know that a number of people that listen to the podcast are founders like me. Either they are self-employed, maybe they're a speaker, maybe they are a consultant. That is really, really good piece of advice, because like you, I get inquiries via my email, and my instinct is to pick up the phone. If there's a number there, and sometimes they get thrown by that, but that immediate conversation. But something that you've said that is really useful, I normally say, do you want to book a time on my calendar? I will say what time you're free now. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, like I say, it's process over people. This
Yes.
conversation's come up quite a lot actually this week about, you know, how we choose process over people. Yes, these tools are all here to assist us and they're all here to make us great, but yet none of us have got time to do anything because we're managing these processes. And actually, sometimes the beauty of just, but I mean, Susan, but when you say that if someone emails you and then you pick up the phone, that can throw them. Again, it's about meeting people where they are. If they're
Yes.
emailing you, email them back and then organise a time to call them, because
Yeah.
I've emailed people before and they rang me straight back, and I'm on the next bit. I've emailed a task over, I'm
Yeah.
letting them to respond to me, and they rang me, they've interrupted me, and I haven't really got time to talk to them. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I'm in that zone, and that's okay, but it's quite a risky tactic to actually give them a call straight back. I'm an ambivert, but I do express more introversion qualities, which may surprise a lot of people, but I do. So after this call, I'll be going into a dark room. However, for someone like me, you know, the phone ringing can panic me sometimes. I don't want
Oh,
to answer it, you know, and
it's
I'll let it go to voicemail and I'll get back to them in my own time, you know.
it's
So
an
we have to
interesting one.
remember.
Yeah, because if somebody's got a number on their email,
Yeah.
for me, that is, you can phone me up. But that's interesting to see another viewpoint on that.
Like I say, but I will never not answer the phone. You know,
No.
especially it's what I do. I'm in the business of communication. I need to talk to people. I'm going to answer the phone. However, if I'm ringing round asking for quotes for people or talking to suppliers, and I've emailed them and said, could you give me a call back tomorrow? And they give me a call back literally minutes later because they've got sales targets to hit or quotas to
Yeah,
hit.
yeah, yeah.
They haven't listened to me. They haven't listened to me, and I don't like it. And it sets you off on a bad foot. So there's all little things like that I think sometimes you can't train. It's all down to experience.
This is so useful. And I know that the time is running out, but I know that you have got 3 top tips to share with the audience.
Yeah.
Are you
You'll need
looking
to.
at me? Can I remember them?
You know what? When I responded to you, so if you give me a heads up of what they were, because I've got
Yeah.
thousands of them running through my
Oh,
head, but which
okay.
ones were specific to this? Yeah.
So be interested. People like to,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, I've alluded to this. So be interested in them. Talk to them. Ask them leading questions. Don't just talk to them about their business requirements. Talk to them about their team, how they want to grow their team. Be interested in how their company has grown. A lot of the founders and business owners, they started the company for a reason. remind them of that, remind them that you're there to help, be interested. Even at networking events, don't just sit down there and say, what do you do, and hand over a business card. How did you get here today? How was traffic? Is your food okay? Well, that's a really lovely tie you've got on. I mean,
Yes,
it's a bit
yeah,
cheesy,
yeah.
but things like that. Be interested in them, compliment them, and then the conversation will flow.
Brilliant. And then the second one is listen, ask leading questions.
Yeah, so that feeds into it. Again, this is a tactic. Sometimes you can ask a question for a delay tactic, because you're frantically trying to look around and go, oh, they've mentioned that, I need to look at that. So you say to you, so Susan, tell me about that board in the background. God, that looks really, really interesting. What on earth's on there? And I'm listening, but I'm taking notes at the same time.
Yeah.
She likes productivity hacks. She works with post-its, likes to work on paper, likes to write things down. Note to self, don't email too much, because she likes to be creative. So it's things like that. So asking leading questions like that on things that you wouldn't particularly notice can really, really help. So you have to really listen to what people are saying to you, because it will catch you out. We've all been in these meetings where someone's gone, so what do you think, Susan? And you've been so busy answering emails over in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It kind of jolts you back into the room, and you'll always get caught out. You'll always get caught out. So listen and pay attention.
Do what you said you would do.
Yes. Massive bugbear for me. You run through action points at the end of a call, or you meet someone and say, yeah, I'll give you a call tomorrow, or yeah, I'll throw those things over to you on email, and then you don't do it. And not only
No.
do you lose momentum, but you lose trust in that, because they're
Yes.
expecting it. I'm not saying people are sitting there looking at their emails expecting it to come through. They've got far more interesting things to do. But if you said you're going to get a quote over within a couple of days, do it.
Yes.
And be realistic. If they're saying to you, oh, I need that done by the end of play Friday, well, actually, that's going to be a real struggle for me, because we've only had this conversation today. Would you be okay if I push that back Tuesday morning? Is that going to be a problem, or do I need to wriggle a few things around and
Yes.
negotiate? But ultimately, do what you said you would do, because if you don't do that, then you lose trust straight away.
And then the last one was being authentic in the corporate world is a must.
Absolutely. You have to be human. We've all got, I mean, you've got that, the bingo, and some people refer to it in another way, but it's corporate bingo. You don't want to be talking to people about objectives and KPIs and revenues and all these things. You want to be talking to people. How long have you been in the job? Do you enjoy it? What's the best bit about your job? Are you hybrid? Do you enjoy working from home? How often do you come into the office? Oh, I can hear a dog in the background. Just really kind of, but you know what, Susan, some people don't like that, and that's quite risky.
Yes.
We haven't spoken about neurodiversity, but if you bring that in, you really have to be careful of what you say to some people. But actually, it's worked all right for me. 90% of the time, normally, if I start talking about a dog or a child or something like that, it normally softens people.
And you also said keep learning.
Absolutely. Keep learning every single day. Learn about people. Have a little LinkedIn stalk before you get onto a call with somebody. Look at their career history. Even have a look at their profile picture. Are they with someone? Do they have a dog with them? Are they on a long walk? Look at their website. And that's just the people learning, but also the technical learning around stuff. If you're going to be talking to people about something as meaty as their marketing, I mean, marketing is vast. And the world of marketing 20, 30 years ago that I entered isn't the world that I'm in now.
No.
And I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in now if I didn't learn how to do digital marketing. So at Cariad, we're always on learning. We have certifications we have to pass through a Google partner. If we don't pass certain certifications, we get kicked out of that partnership. That hasn't happened yet. We won't allow that to happen. We need to make sure that we're on top of all the social media trends. There is someone probably 13 or 14 that's building a social media platform at this very moment that I will have to learn to market in the future. So we need to be considerate of that. So even if we think it's not going anywhere, we still need to learn it. I was doing some research on We Are 8, the new social media platform that's very much in its infancy at the moment, but it's coming up in conversations, and we need to be knowledgeable about that. And you don't want to be silly.
Yeah. Oh, so before this has been incredible. And listeners, I know that you will love this. And how can people contact you, Colette?
Well, I live on LinkedIn. I do. It is my favourite platform because it's been consistent over the years. Hasn't changed too much. You know what you're going to do on there. You can post some bits and pieces out there and people can get all the business information they need from you. So the first port of call, connect with me on LinkedIn. I will connect with anybody. You know, don't email me straight away with a sales thing, because then you'll just unconnect straight away. But reach out. Let me know who you are, how I can help you. I love a one-to-one. More than happy to jump on a call. I do have in my email on the website cariadmarketing.com. I've got a link to book some time with me. Feel free to do it. You know, pretty busy, but there'll always be a gap. And you can follow me on all the normal social media channels, but LinkedIn is where I live. So definitely come over and say hello and comment on the podcast on this live and you know, see what you think.
Brilliant. And also, if for any reason there is a company that is interested in working with Cariad, would it be the same process?
Yes, yeah. Reach out to myself on LinkedIn. We do have social media channels that are managed by our team. So if you contact them on any channel, you know, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, we'll always respond. But ultimately, land on our website, click on the contact us or the email, and we'll get back to you straight away. Test us, ring us, see if we'll ring you back.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Colette. This has been amazing. The information that you have shared, the knowledge, your expertise is gold dust. And I'm absolutely certain that listeners will have got so much from this conversation.
Thank you. I hope so.
Thank you very much. Until next time, this is Susan from Superstar Communicator.